Frank.
All right, so we're going to call the meeting of the Board of Public Works to order on March 28th, 2024. Claire, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Shea,
Present.
Commissioner Lemon,
Here.
Commissioner Gregg,
Present.
Commissioner Espedia,
Here.
and Mayor John.
Here. All right, the first item is the agenda as submitted. Commissioner Shea.
I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item 3, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve the minutes of the Board of Public Works meeting of February 22nd, 2024.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to address the Board of Public Works? Now, if there is no one, is there anyone? No. If there is no one, then we will, there's something that Lauren would like to show, the GIS tool that we're using. And she needs to leave quickly, or soon. So,
I just would like to, before Lauren gets started, this is something that Commissioner Gregg spoke with us about and came up with the idea, and so we tried to make it happen. I think we're pretty excited about it. We did show Commissioner Gregg, and I think we're on the right track.
Very excited.
Okay.
anyway, so we wanted to show you what Lauren has developed.
Great. Hi, everyone. So we've developed a future public-facing interactive web map of all of the Public Works projects and events. Everything in this map is interactive, but you can also choose from a number of categories along the side, such as the recreational events, street opening permits, or the 2024 paving program. It's nice because it's expandable. In the future, we can add more things to it. But you can easily click through the categories over here and find a list of all of the work under that category. So if we went to the paving program, you can easily select anything from the list over here, and it'll bring you right to that street with a pop-up of all the information that's available about it. So whether this street has started the paving, is in progress, or is completed. And
So it's red if it hasn't,
Here we go.
right? You want to go
Right,
again?
so if it's completed, it'll be red, yellow if it's in progress, red if it's incomplete. As you can see, we also have the recreational events, some photos attached. You can sort those by location. So if you were looking for something specifically at Greeley Park, you would be able to come over here and sort through those. If there were multiple locations at a park, you'd be able to click on the park and quickly see which events are taking place at that location, as well as any sort of street opening permits that we have. If you were to click on one, it would bring you there, let you know what the permit is for and the length of the permit. So it's just a nice interactive way for our community to be able to see sort of the projects going on around them. And if they needed to, they would easily be able to access See-Click Fix to be able to report a problem from this platform as well. And of course, you can click on anything and it'll come up with the information for you.
We're hoping we're going to work with IT to put this on hopefully the homepage of the city website and also our Public Works page. So, next step, so,
This is great.
yeah,
Thank you.
Congratulations.
yeah.
Commissioner Espedia.
Thank you. Is it live already? Can folks go on it already or not yet?
It's not live already. This is pretty close to being ready to go live, but it's not quite there yet.
It's exciting.
Soon.
Yeah, super soon.
All right. Any questions, any comments? Commissioner Shea.
Do we already have like a parks inventory in GIS that we could kind of fold into this easily? That might be a neat thing for people to be able to click
Sure.
around for.
So I'm currently working on building out a parks inventory and sort of all of the assets that belong in that park. So where the band shell is, you'd be able to search by whether there are fields at a park, that sort of thing. It's a project that's in the works.
That's great.
And we have discussed how I believe Commissioner Lemon at one point wrote a series of articles on the 38 parks, right? 38?
Well, I did it by green space, so at the time, there were 44 green spaces, but some of them were not useful as parks.
Sure.
And
Spent a
there's,
lot of time in swamps.
but there's an article about each.
Yes.
So there's a lot of information there. I'm sure you can get it
Utilize
from
some of that
Commissioner Lemon.
Yeah.
Great.
That would be great.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
So now we're going to deal with Board of Aldermen referrals. Item A, Commissioner Gregg.
What's the format to read this? So we're authorizing,
Provide a positive recommendation.
providing a positive recommendation?
Yes.
Okay. So I recommend the authorizing the mayor and city treasurer to borrow an amount not to exceed $2,500,000 through the issuance of bonds and/or a loan through the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services State Revolving Loan Fund for the wastewater treatment plant Class A biosolid and maintenance building project.
So Commissioner Gregg has moved that we give a positive recommendation regarding Resolution R-24-025. Any discussion on the motion or the resolution? All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have item B, Commissioner Spetia.
I move to recommend with positive recommendation resolution R-24-026, authorizing a second amendment to the site lease agreement with New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, successor by merger to
Did you check this?
TT&T and Wireless PCS LLC regarding the communications tower located at 67 Amherst Street.
And Director Photo has an explanation as to what the amendment
Sure.
entails.
So this is essentially an amendment to extend the lease. This is a cell tower at Holman Stadium for AT&T. And it is on the right side of the front entrance of Holman. This is a contract for 5 years with an option to automatically renew for up to 5 additional 5-year terms totaling 30 years. And it sets the lease price at $3,600 per month with a 2% increase annually. And this is the same price that they were paying. So,
All right, any
It's a summary.
discussion? So the motion is to recommend to the Board of Aldermen that they go forward with this lease. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the,
Mayor,
Commissioner Shea.
How long has the rate been $3,600 per month?
I don't know
You
the
know.
answer to that. This actually was negotiated by Bill Mansfield, who works for the police department, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
I do know, though, that that's what it was. I'm not sure for how long. I could find that out for you, though.
It would be interesting to know where everything has gone up for cost-wise. If this lease has been in place for 20 or 30 years and it's been at $3,600, the value that they are getting might be a lot different now than the value that we are getting. So when is this go into effect? Or is it already lapsed and we're now kind of in a period where we're renewing it with them?
I know that they have been trying to get this process since,
For
I think
a couple of
COVID.
years now. Yep.
since COVID, so I'm not exactly sure how long, if it's lapsed or anything, but
And do you know how this compares to our Mine Falls income?
we
No.
don't.
Okay.
It's
No,
approximately
it's not.
equivalent.
I could ask Bill to come in and speak to all of the leases? He's the one that.
Yeah, it would be
you-
interesting to
I
know if
could
we
ask him.
can, I mean, we've taken a lot of time on this, or the process has taken a lot of time on this. If we could take a little more time and get an idea of, you know, if that's been the rate for a couple decades, if it's comparable to what market rate for such a facility would be, that would be good. It's excellent that we bring in income and have funds to support Holman and you know, through the other towers, other facilities. I think we would be doing our diligence if we spent a little more time and just saw if this was the number that it's always been, and so we went with it, or if there might be some opportunity for additional income.
So do I infer a motion to table to the next meeting?
Yes.
All right, any discussion on that? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, and we will take this up at the next meeting and invite Mr. Mansfield to come in and talk about the details. Next item C, Commissioner Shea.
I motion to accept a scoreboard for the Doobie Field at St. Andrews Park donated by the city of Nashua, donated to the city of Nashua by Nashua Cal Ripken.
Any discussion or questions there? Motion is to recommend Resolution R 24-034. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is our item D, Commissioner Lemon.
I move that we offer a positive resolution, a positive recommendation for Resolution R-24-035 to change the purpose of up to $2,200,000 of unexpected bond proceeds from the design and construction of a Division of Public Works office facility to the design of a Public Works Division garage.
You'll recall that you've already taken this up and provided a positive recommendation, but this is just a formality because the legislation is currently before the Board of Aldermen.
All right, anybody? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. We're going to do wastewater department. Next, item A, Commissioner Gregg.
I motion to approve the user warrants as presented.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Now the solid waste department. Item A, Commissioner Spitia.
I move to approve the purchase of a complete automated refuse truck arm assembly for the total purchase amount of $35,558.34. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste, Fund Solid Waste, Account Classification 54 Property Services.
Mr. Rush is here on that.
Michael Rush, Fleet Maintenance Manager. So this purchase is to aid our 6 automated trucks that pick up our collections every day. What we're finding is there is a high maintenance because these arms are moving in and out a few thousand times a day. Sometimes we get caught where these maintenance intervals come up 3 at a time at the same time, and that enables us, this purchase will enable us to kind of curb that, where it takes us a couple of weeks to refurb these arms. We'll have one ready to go, and we could just swap the whole assembly out on a truck. The good thing is this company that we assume that we're going to be purchasing trucks for in the future does not seem to have a design change in the next 5 to 6 years. So we'll be able to utilize this for the incoming new purchases as well as the units that we already have. I'm happy to answer any further questions you have on that.
All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have item B, Commissioner Spitia. Or did you do the? Sorry. Well, there's nothing, you could do 2 in a row. Commissioner Shea.
I motion to approve change order number 3 to the contract with ChemServe Environmental Analysts of Milford, New Hampshire for water quality testing and monitoring services at all of the City of Nashua landfill sites For the Solid Waste Department in the amount not to exceed $40,000. Funding will be through Department 168 Solid Waste, Fund Solid Waste, Account Classification 55, Other Contracted Services.
Mr. LaFleur?
Jeff LaFleur, Superintendent of Solid Waste. So this change order is basically what it says is for our groundwater testing. DES has been implementing extra testing that needs to be done at certain wells throughout the city pertaining to PFAS and other contaminants that are around. And as they add more testing to it, of course, the price goes up. We've exhausted our PO for this contract year, and we just need to up it a little bit more. In future years, we're actually out to bid right now for a 3-year contract, so in future years, I'll add on monies in case of these, so I don't have to come to you guys for extra, change orders.
All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank
Thank you. Engineering Department. Item A, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to approve the sewer service permits and fees as submitted.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item B, Commissioner Gregg.
A motion to approve poll license petitions as listed in the staff report.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item C, Commissioner Spezia.
I move to approve a drain layers license for SUR Construction West Inc. Incorporated of Winchester, New Hampshire, in accordance with Nashville City Code 255-19, issuance of drain layers license, and authorize the Division of Public Works to temporarily suspend the license if work is found to be unsatisfactory during an initial 6-month probationary period.
Want me to speak to it?
We see these all the
Yeah,
time, but yeah, go ahead.
I'll be brief. Good afternoon, Dan Hudson, City Engineer. SUR Construction West applied for drain layers license. They're a contractor who's done work for the city in the past. They've done a good job for us, so we anticipate no problems and recommend approval.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item D, Commissioner Shea.
I motion to approve the purchase of manhole and catch basin frames, grates, and covers from E.J. Prescott Incorporated of Concord, New Hampshire, in the amount of $201,419.05. Funding Department 169 wastewater, fund bond, activity sewer structure replacement.
Again, Dan Hudson, City Engineer. So we replace castings on a regular basis, both through our paving program and other work that we do in the city. These are the frames and covers for sewer structures, drain structures, that sort of thing. It was time to go back out to bid for providing that material to the city. Received 3 bids. E.J. Prescott was the low bidder, so we're recommending award to them. We provide these castings during the paving to the contractor who installs them. That helps equalize that part of the bidding amongst bidders. I'd be happy to address any questions.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item E, Commissioner Lemon.
I move to consider the hardship request from attorney Robert M. Perotti on behalf of Gert and Evelyn Hausberger of 40 Browning Avenue to excavate in Browning Avenue to install utility services.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. My name is Robert Perotti. I'm an attorney in Nashville, offices at 30 Temple Street in Nashville. I'm here on behalf of the Hausbergers, who are the sellers, and the Rogers, who are the buyers of 40 Browning Street. With me today is Mrs. Rogers, Wakebirch Builders, who is a general contractor, as well as TBD Earth Tech, who would be doing the actual work in the event there's any questions of them. The Hausbergers are retired. They purchased 41 Shirley Street in 1975. 2 years later, they purchased the property to the rear at 40 Browning. And to my knowledge, that property has never had any structure on it, even though it's part of the original Lancaster Heights subdivision. Mr. and Mrs. Hausberger have paid taxes on that lot as a separate lot of record for 47 years. The tax records available go back to 2012, and they paid over $32,000 in taxes for a vacant lot. They wish to now downsize and sell their property. The street was paved last July 15th. The moratorium expires July 15th, 2028. The hardship here is that if they are not allowed if a house is not allowed to be constructed on this property, the value of this property is greatly diminished, and taxes are going to continue to be paid in the vicinity of $3,000 a year. After we filed this petition, it appears that, in fact, the sewer line may go to the property, and it may be that the water line also goes to the property, so that this request may only be for gas service to go to the property. That may answer the question.
Anybody? Any questions, comments?
I have a comment. I would just like to note that I am of the opinion that a vacant piece of land has value and is taxed accordingly. I don't know what the relevance, whether or not someone has used the property that they have owned during a period of time they have paid taxes has to this conversation. I think it has merits otherwise, but just, you know, there's vacant land, people pay taxes on vacant land, and I don't know that they're owed any sort of special consideration on account of that fact. That's all.
All right, anyone else? The pending motion is to approve the request. If no one has anything further, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Okay. Item F, Commissioner Gregg.
I move to consider the hardship request from the Division of Public Works to excavate in Canal Street to install a closed drainage system and to make pedestrian safety improvements.
So Dan Hudson, city engineer. So this is actually a request from Division of Public Works. Through the Main Street paving and the replacement of the railroad tracks, it came to light that there's some drainage issues out there in the vicinity of the Main and Canal intersection. This project approval of this will allow us to run a new drain line down to a drainage outlet that runs between Dunkin' Donuts and a neighboring property. In addition, there's a pedestrian crossing that is planned to be improved under the STEP project down at the intersection of Railroad Square. And so for those reasons, we're seeking this approval. Road was last paved in September of 19, so it's almost out of moratorium anyway. Once this work is done, we'll mill the roadway to restore it in accordance with the ordinances. I'd be happy to address any questions.
Commissioner Shea.
Can you tell us more about the pedestrian improvements?
Sure. So the STEP project includes improving pedestrian crossings in a bunch of places throughout the city. Generally, that involves building bump outs to shorten the crossing distance. I believe that's the case here. Is that true, Mr. Saunders? So that we'll be building a bump out there, shortening the crossing, providing rectangular rapid flashing beacon assemblies, improving the ADA ramps. That's the scope of the work as I understand it.
And is this, and I'm sorry, I don't understand, is this at Canal and Main? Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I got some constituent feedback about this area and went down and took another look at it. I think at a past meeting, we talked about the drainage issues at that area. I assume that will be resolved with this. The other item is that, and I think it's going to be resolved by what you've said, but I just want to confirm, the pedestrian crossing signal item there is one that did not get replaced when we did the Main Street overhaul. And so we'll be replacing that and making it accessible. There's maybe like a 2.5, 3 foot gap between the sidewalk and the actual signal button. So that's an accessibility issue. I just want to confirm that that is part of this.
Yes, the answer to that is yes. So there is one of those crossings, like, as you indicated, the button's not adjacent to it. There is no button adjacent to it. So those facilities will be provided. This drainage will be installed. Those corners will be addressed. The pedestrian equipment will be updated or provided where it's missing. And then we'll end up paving that portion of Main Street. So all that work is intended to be done before we pave, obviously. So that's all work that we have on the docket for this year, and those things will be addressed.
Commissioner Lemon.
Now, the part, so that's going across Maine from Canal, right? So when you cross Canal there, of course, we know that is like a terrible intersection for people to just go right through the light, even though they're not supposed to. Is there gonna be a bump out on that corner, so it's the corner of Canal and Main, but across Canal Street?
I don't think that's currently part of our plans. I'm not sure there's enough width to do a bump out. The shoulder's not wide enough there. So that's not currently part of our plan, but we'll review that issue before we pave and see if there's any improvements that can be made either through changes in signal timing or locations of stop bars and things, yeah.
I've seen a couple of near misses with people not in wheelchairs, but people with walkers trying to cross that street. And it's alarming how much people don't seem to feel that they have to even slow down, let alone obey the traffic lights.
Yeah, we'll take that under consideration. I mean, that is a heavy right turn movement. I think in the past we've talked about, making a no right turn on red. Maybe it already is, I'm forgetting.
No, you can turn, right?
You can turn
But
right.
okay, yeah, so thanks, perhaps people aren't making that stop before they make the maneuver is probably the problem, right? So thanks for reminding me of that. We'll take that into consideration as we go forward with this work.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Shea.
So I actually advocated back in 2012 to not cut down the trees that are right there. Do you think, because it was like, okay, so we're doing all this conduit work, is that necessary to be included in the bigger project, or can we maintain that piece of sidewalk and keep some amount of mature trees on one of the entry points to Main Street? But in any case, just some historic context to my interest in this. Do you think that those will be affected? Do you think that we might be able to work around them?
So,
I understand there's a need for this, and I'm just interested in attention to that.
yeah, so it's a good question. There are 3 trees in the vicinity of this work we're doing. There's 2 on the east side of Main Street, just south of Canal, so right on that corner by Dunkin' Donuts. The 2 on Main Street will need to be removed. Our intention is to replant, with a new tree, once that work is done, providing some better soils and stuff, so hopefully that tree will do better than some have in the past, providing the right type of growing environment. On the north corner, we are going to attempt to save that tree. There's a crabapple tree between the 2 walkways. So we're going to do what we can to save that. We may need to trim it up a little before construction, put some fence around it to protect it during construction. We will be digging in and around that area, so I don't know how much we'll get into the roots. But we're going to try to save the tree, and hopefully we'll be successful with that. If later it doesn't survive, then we'll end up replanting a tree. But we will try to save it. It's a mature crabapple tree, so.
And the ones that are at Dunkin' Donuts are not crab apples? Is that
No,
right?
do you
Yeah.
remember, Mark, what species those were?
I want to say that
Black locust, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that
And our
makes sense.
intent is to place it with a blood, it's a type of maple tree, right?
a maple blood gold.
Blood gold maple, under the recommendation of Brian Conant, Park Superintendent.
That's great. Very good. If that crabapple tree, and it probably is about the same age as the ones that were in Bicentennial Park, it's probably at about the end of its life, yeah, so, but if you can save it and it gets another 10 years, then that's great.
We're gonna try.
Very helpful.
Yep.
Appreciate it, thank you.
All right, the motion is to go forward. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Next item, item G we're on, right?
Yep.
Okay, Commissioner Spetia.
I move to consider the hardship request from Liberty Utilities to excavate to replace gas mains at the following list of locations included in their 2024 capital improvement projects and cathodic protection program.
So Dan Hudson, Nate Cody is here from Liberty, and he can address this request.
Nate Cody with Liberty Utilities. Yeah, so this is a request to dig in some moratorium pavement areas to do some conventional gas work and just to accommodate some city projects, some paving of streets and that stuff of that nature. So just putting in a request for hopefully most of the projects that we're going to be doing over the construction season.
As I understand it, the excavation for the cathodic protection is kind of a localized, small, you just gotta get in there, find the pipe, find the condition it's in, and address that, and then the capital projects, you're doing other gas main work and things, right?
Yep, I mean the size of the work is going to be anywhere from like the size of a Frisbee to the size of a sheet of plywood.
Commissioner Shea.
Can you tell us what cathodic protection means?
It's just protecting like metal loss on steel pipe. So it's just work of that nature.
Protecting against corrosion, usually put zinc, is it zinc anodes or zinc?
Well, the work on the sheets, mostly like the test stations. So it's like you'll see little boxes with, and they have wires that actually come up into those boxes. So that's they might have got paved over,
So it's
or they're not functioning.
Cathodes in the monitoring system that you're kind of doing preservation work on?
Correct.
And are there any of these that stand out as far as like problematic for us? I guess this question is for Dan.
No, we're in support of the work.
Okay, thank you.
All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Next item, item H, Commissioner Shea.
I motion to consider the hardship request from Pennachuck Waterworks to excavate to replace water mains in portions of William Street and Gilman Street as part of their 2024 capital improvement project.
How's it going? Ryan Houle, distribution engineer with Pennachuck Waterworks. Little similar to Liberty's item, we have 2 water main full-length replacement projects going on ahead of the city's paving program. If you have the letter that I provided, it's pretty well laid out for you folks. Newbury Street, the city's looking to pave that this year. We're gonna go in ahead of them and replace our water main from 1892 to 1940. It was built in phases. You can imagine how old the 1892 one is. Needs to be replaced, end of its service life. And unfortunately, in doing so, we're gonna cross through the intersection with William Street, which was paved in 2020, therefore under moratorium. It's not of our good practice to just stop at intersections. We like to go through and take care of the intersections when we're doing the longitudinal main, in this case on Newbury. Unfortunately, like I said, we'll be going through the William Street intersection and therefore, you know, excavating in some moratorium pavement. Similarly, on Ritter Street between Gilman and Lovewell, there's a section of main that needs to be replaced. On either side of that, they've already been updated into newer ductile iron pipe. But in between, like I said, Gilman and Lovewell, unfortunately that will involve touching into the Gilman Street intersection, and Gilman Street is also under moratorium. But again, we don't like to leave small sections of old cast iron main for a multitude of reasons.
Anyone? All right, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Item I, Commissioner Lemon.
I move that this, to accept the street opening permits issued for streets in moratorium.
All those in favor of the motion, say, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right, Street Department. We have an informational item, which is the 2024 spring cleanup schedule. If
So-
anyone has any questions about that, we could answer them.
This is our
If-
this is just our annual spring cleanup. Residents can call in now through April 5th for a one-time pickup, and the pickups will be completed April 8th through April 19th, sometime in that time frame. We're accepting brush and shrubs. The brush can be no longer than 4 inches in diameter and and then no longer than 8 feet. And shrubs should be cleaned of soil and dirt.
And we have now, under administration, moving to administration, we have an informational item regarding the action of the Board of Aldermen on O-24002, raising the compensation of the Board of Public Works. That's an informational item only.
You're currently compensated $2,000 annually, which payable quarterly, starting on July 1st, 2024. The compensation will be $3,600 per year payable quarterly. And on July 1st of each following year, the compensation will be changed by a factor equal to the average of the changes in the consumer price index. So, the Board of Aldermen voted that.
I have a question.
Yes, Commissioner Shea.
Who are we employees of when we get a paycheck?
City of Nashville.
The city,
The city?
yeah,
Not the department? The city?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, well, technically we fall within the.
I'm just wondering if
department.
technically we should vote on this or not.
Well, you're not being asked to vote on it.
No, but you know me, so.
I'm just bringing it to your attention just so when you notice you get a check and it's more.
Yep. No, and I really appreciate the way that they put a CPI kind of trailer on that. That's a really good, it's a good practice.
Otherwise they'll end up like the State House, which is $200 every 2 years.
Yeah. Which,
When it's not adjusted to
you
inflation.
get free tolls, though. For a full-time job, compensated in tolls.
Now the director's report.
One thing that I did want to mention before you get started is Eversource met with us yesterday, so this is sort of hot off the press. Live today, they have a program, it's a shade tree program that they're offering for our residents, and they have 200 trees for city residents. You can go on their website, which is www.arborday.org/Eversource. So again, www.arborday.org/Eversource. And you can pick out of, I think they said roughly 20 trees. And they're fairly small trees. I think they're in like 5-gallon pots or something. But, and then you can reserve your tree and pick up here at the landfill, March 10th between noon and 7 p.m. So, and there's some pretty nice trees. And they're trees that are designed that don't grow very tall, so, because they don't want them to grow into the power lines, so, but it's a really nice benefit for residents, so, I would encourage you to participate, so. Okay, and we'll go on to the director's report. This is the Fields Grove Causeway. Our engineering consultant, Hoyle Tanner, performed a field inspection of the Salmon Brook triple culverts, and causeway structure on February 16th. There were cracks resulting in the loss of fill material. We received emergency wetland permit from New Hampshire DES on February 22nd, and our Parks and Rec Department installed some sandbags at the upstream end of the causeway to slow the flow until a more comprehensive repair plan can be made. So we'll keep you updated on that. This is retaining wall again in Fields Grove. Hoyle Tanner performed a visual observation, and on March 8th, a portion of the wall was found to be in disrepair and in need of construction. So we'll be repairing that as well. On March 8th, our engineering consultant Hazen conducted an assessment of the slope embankment that supports an 84-inch reinforced concrete sewer interceptor pipe. Due to the concerns with erosion resulting from the narrowing of the river from a coffer dam that was installed for the Jackson Mills Hydro project. So we are currently working on mitigation measures to shore that up. We're working with community development, and we're very concerned of that because of the interceptor. Biddy basketball season ended, and we finished this year with over 800 players on 57 teams. The last few weeks have been all about playoffs and all-star tournaments. The boys Biddy Hawks, Bantam Jets, boys junior Biddy Nuggets, girls junior Biddy Jet, and girls Biddy Tigers were the city champions in their respective leagues. And we look forward to next year. Park and Rec staff finished taking down a dead tree on Broad Street right before the roundabout, the week of March 11th. We are power washing the stands in Stella Stadium before our robust spring schedule starts. Crews are cleaning up sidewalk brush and trash on Lowell Street on March 12th. Homeless encampment cleanups are ongoing. This is a homeless camp on Crown Street. The crews repaired sunken catch basin at the end of a residence driveway on Southgate Road. Our street crew repaired the leaking roof. They actually replaced the entire roof. We did that with our own crews. Some very talented people. And crews repaired a sinkhole by installing a new structure and catch basin on Glen Drive. This is a damaged guardrail that was repaired due to an accident. This is actually right in front of the Nashua Country Club on Pine and Fairway Street. The wastewater department accepted delivery of a new combination jetter vac truck for cleaning sewers. The first household hazardous waste collection of 2024 will be held on Saturday, April 20th, and that will be at the Streets Garage. Soft yard waste collection will begin the week of April 15th. And bulky and scrap metal pickups also will start the same day, April 15th, and residents may start to call April 8th to schedule a pickup. Residents, as a reminder, are allowed up to 5 items at no charge for the season. That's it. Any questions?
Anybody have anything on the director's report? Next is personnel. Commissioner Shea, I believe.
I motion to approve and unseal the non-public minutes for personnel from the Board of Public Works meeting of February 22nd, 2024.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Non-public session. Commissioner Shea?
I move by roll call that the board go into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, Section 2, subsection B, the hiring of any person as a public employee.
Oh, we haven't called the roll yet.
I can do that.
We haven't passed it yet, technically.
I can do that. Commissioner Shea?
Yes.
Commissioner Lemon?
Yes.
Commissioner Espedia?
Yes.
Commissioner Gregg?
Yes.
Mayor Donches?
Yes, and the motion passes, and we're going to go into a non-public session.
We also
All right, we're back in
Okay.
public session. Commissioner Shea.
I move by roll call to seal the minutes of the Board of Public Works Personnel Non-Public Meeting of March 28th, 2024, until such time as the majority of the board votes that the purpose of the confidentiality would be no longer served.
Could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Shea,
Yes.
Commissioner Lemon,
Yes.
Commissioner Gregg,
Yes.
Commissioner Espedia,
Yes.
Mayor Donches.
Yes. Motion passes. So it seems we're at the conclusion of business, so I'll look to Vice Chair Commissioner Shea.
I suppose we might have commissioner comments if there are any.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner comments. Any Commissioner comments?
I just have a quick
Commissioner
question.
Lemon.
When I've been asked often about when the bridge work into Hudson, when you think it will start.
That's a good question. Soon, but I don't have an exact date, but can I get you some more information?
Yeah.
And I'll talk to, I know Dan Hudson's left, but.
Yeah, a lot of people that work with me live in Pelham and Hudson.
Yes.
So they're concerned, and then other people are just asking me because of that I'm on board. They want to know.
It is scheduled for this season,
That's what I
but let
told
me,
them.
let me narrow that down for you.
Thank you.
Any other commissioners' comments?
I just have a question.
Commissioner Shea.
For Stello Stadium, is that our only artificial turf outdoors?
Yes.
Is that something that we've evaluated for possible replacement at some point, or?
So Stello Stadium is actually owned by the school department,
Okay.
but we oversee
Maintain
it, yeah. So I know the school department has asked for the funding to replace it. The turf does need to be
Mhm.
replaced. There's some concern that kids could get hurt if it's not. So I'm hoping that they do get the funding to replace it. I know they've asked for it.
Are they looking for real turf, or are they looking to do a replacement of the artificial turf?
A replacement of the artificial turf, yes.
I was reading something about the PFOA exposure due to chemicals contained in the particulate tire matter. And so I've been meaning to ask about that. It sounds like it's kind of out of our purview, but I will express my preference nonetheless. When it's time to replace that, it would be good to give a thorough evaluation to what it would take to do real turf. Just due to potential chemical safety issues. I believe that there are a lot of communities that are taking those out altogether
Yes,
for that reason.
agreed.
Especially in its football, right? That's mostly played there?
No, we play lacrosse, there's
Soccer.
soccer, yeah, everything is played there.
Yeah, so-
Only youth sports, but yes.
And so from what I understand, the stats indicate that the goalies in soccer are at higher risk due to both the motion of kicking the ball towards them
Right.
and handling it with their upper body, but also the diving and tumbling on the surface. And I don't know that this is the case for our field, but the big, I believe, issue is increased incidence of lymphoma in exposure to that kind of setting. So again, not necessarily our purview, but it's a concern of mine, and I thought it was worth.
You know, I think
Bring it
I
up.
noticed that in European soccer, they don't have artificial turf at all. I think that's all natural,
Mhm. And
unlike NFL.
And I think over the last 10 years or so, there was a bit of movement, because we want to recycle, we want to reapply, materials if we can in a safe way. But from what I understand, over the last 10 years or so, out in Europe, it's been a more kind of aggressive approach to removing the fields that were built and replacing them. We think a lot about the drinking water and the St. Cobain plant, but the issue around PFOA chemicals hasn't been that focused on other materials that we encounter in our day-to-day. And I know, from what I understand, and again, this may not be the case for our field, but kind of as a broad fact, the recycled materials increase exposure and can be problematic. I don't have any additional comments, thank you.
Any other commissioners' comments? All right, well, is there a motion then to adjourn?
I would motion to adjourn.
All those in favor of the motion to adjourn, say aye.
All right.
And the meeting of the Board of Public Works is adjourned at 5:01 PM.